Okay, we have Andre Agassi versus VDoc. Andre Agassi is some super GM. He's anonymous on the ICC. And we're having this G3 system, something that they played previously. I was watching a few games before I began recording. In fact, just before this game, I was I was recording and I needed to stop because there was a mosquito flying around that was irritating me. So that's a fun little behind the scenes fact. And it was an interesting endgame. But nevertheless, okay, we're here. We have some type of dragon set up by black. It is a closed position. We don't have the D and C pawns being exchanged. So white will look to play on the king side. Black will look to play on the queen side. This knight is going for this little journey that is quite typical in instances where d4 is already a hole, but that's not quite the case here. It jumps back e8, c7, e6, and then d4. It's not a hole in this case, and white keeps the tension, keeps that foothold in the center. Neither side is so quick to make a capture. And now this queen is potentially vulnerable. Rook e1 would be threatening knight takes, but we have something much more direct. The queen is being hit now, and it's not so easy to find a great square. This seems a little bit awkward because it gets in the bishop's way, but I think black would like to play b6 and then get the bishop developed in this manner. And in the meantime, we have this pawn sacrifice, which is allowing queen h4 ideas. This is a very interesting sack. It does allow for this, but after h6, the knight has to do what exactly? He only has one square. This time control, by the way, is 3 minute with a 1 second increment, which is as close to what we would see in over the board actual blitz, gaining 1 second for every move played. And I guess now this queen has a wonderful home, and knight h4 will certainly be played, right? Pinpointing f5 and stopping queen g6 stuff. This knight is potentially unprotected. Okay, so this knight negates this one on h4. Two squares separating them along a diagonal. They usually battle for those same squares. And so f5 and g6 are defended. And black will look to try and get certainly the queens off the board, but I don't see that is going to happen anytime soon. It's tough to kick this queen off of the h5 square. d3 is also hanging, but and maybe it is available, right? Because it would be coming with tempo. Now taking here allows bishop takes h6. This h6 pawn is much more important than the d3 pawn. An important defender for this black king side. So bishop d7, not wanting to play here. f5 is an important point to be hanging on to, an important pawn. And trying to get this rook active along the a file with a5 now. Definitely don't take here. If anything, maybe b5. That leaves the c5 point a bit soft. I don't know about that. a5, b5, b4, and then maybe this rook could spring to life. This pawn can't be taken just yet, not without investing some material. So d3 is now reinforced. b4, d5. If white has the time, maybe get this king to h4. I'm not sure how to make progress on the white side. And the reason I'm struggling to figure that out is because I don't know what particular pawn break would benefit white. g4, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not even sure. I don't know what that even does. And this seems like it's okay, giving up material. What's the follow-up here? What am I missing? Okay, white is looking to play on these light squares to post up on e4. Maybe this is a consideration. No? Okay, queen g6 now with f5 to follow to try and get control over these light squares. So up material is black. I believe it is a full exchange at this point because white had already invested a pawn. So let's see how good black's technique is. This is of course a very good player. Somebody I've played pretty decent amount of times over the years, this Vidoc. Andre Agassi, not so much. Closing up the position with b4. Black is the one who really wants to open up the position, but I guess capturing wasn't so great there. Capturing would allow this pawn to recapture, and it wouldn't be so much it's a liability when it's on d3, so if it's recapturing on c4, it would be a much stronger pawn. Maybe that's the reason that black went for b4, but doubling on this f-file, I don't know what that is going to do. These bishops are quite strong. In an ideal world, black would love to exchange dark square bishops, but I don't see how that's going to happen. 34 seconds for white. About a 10-second advantage on the clock for black here. King up with then bishop here to follow. Is this rook getting trapped? This rook might be getting trapped, and wow, really investing that. So we have all of a sudden this opposite color bishop ending. I'm not quite sure, I don't know what just happened right there. It went too fast for me. King is looking to get out of the way. This is aiming much, well, it's aiming for what? It's aiming for a draw, most likely. This is a passed pawn. It is going to be difficult to get him rolling. Yeah, this isn't even going to be a target. There's no fixed pawns on the black side on light squares, except when you see this move played. So black one day is looking to pick off b2. And so because of this, white needs to be extra sensitive about exchanging rooks, because in opposite color bishop ending, black is quick to pick up the b2 pawn. This rook could get quite active. f4 seems like a strong square. Possible checks. And maybe this pawn could get marching a little bit. King improvement, not bad either. h5, h6. Get this pawn rolling, right? What do I know? These guys are monsters. 3480 to 3335. Blitz ratings, not 5-minute ratings. Seems like you have to get this guy rolling. Yeah, not much was accomplished right there. Oh, black was going for mate right there with ideas of king g5, rook h2. This rook is tethered to this pawn's defense. I don't know how significant this pawn is. Well, actually it is pretty significant. Now there's another passed pawn, but white is soon to have a passed pawn of their own, which is just 2 steps away from queening, and now this pawn gets rolling in a hurry. You can't stop this rook from capturing the pawn. 2 seconds to 3.8 seconds. Living on the increment, both players. Wow, what a game. This king has to come back over to stop that pawn? Yeah, that was a blunder. What are you going to do? There were just a few seconds. The king needed to scoot over right there. It just wasn't happening. So now black is going to make a bunch of very quick moves, bank a lot of time, and then finally find the winning move. You'll note that queen moving here allows for a rook check with the fork deflecting off of that a8 square. But these guys are finished. Vidoc ended up winning on time in that one and also in position. They will continue to play, but I am going to stop here. They've certainly worked my mind. I'm overheating at this point, trying to keep up with these players, but certainly a treat seeing these two strong players go at it. And as always, I hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Bye.